Evil, tyrant, the shadow, the enemy of the free peoples of Middle-earth. That's how we've been taught to see him. But what if I told you that Sauron might have had a point? Welcome to a deeper, darker look into one of fantasy's most feared villains. Today, we're not just retelling the Lord of the Rings, we're flipping it on its head. Let's talk about why Sauron, the Lord of the Rings, might have actually been right. Sauron wasn't always evil. Before he became the Dark Lord, Sauron was Meren, a Maya, a divine spirit of order and perfection. He served Olli the Smith, a creator of structure, knowledge, and beauty. Unlike Morgoth, the original Dark Lord, Sauron wasn't driven by malice or destruction, at least not in the beginning. His crime? Wanting to fix the world. Middle-earth was a chaotic place. Constant wars, prideful elven kingdoms, corruptible men, and stubborn dwarves. Sauron believed he could bring order, unity, and peace through structure. Yes, even through domination. But is domination always evil? Let's think. How many times in our own world have civilizations traded freedom for safety, liberty for law, and autonomy for protection? Sauron wasn't trying to destroy the world. He wanted to save it from itself. Let's be honest. The so-called good guys weren't perfect. The elves? Arrogant and isolationist. They hoarded knowledge, magic, and power, refusing to share it with the younger races. They considered themselves better than everyone else and were constantly meddling with things they didn't fully understand, like the forging of the rings of power. The men of Numenor? They fell into pride and decadence, trying to cheat death and challenge the gods themselves. Their downfall had nothing to do with Sauron until they themselves made him a scapegoat. He didn't create their ambition, he merely exposed it. Even the Fellowship, noble as they were, relied on deception, secrecy, and violence to achieve their goals. Frodo's journey was heroic, yes, but he wouldn't have even made it without Gollum, a creature tortured and twisted by the very ring he carried. So when we say Sauron was evil, compared to whom? Sauron's rise brought structure to the east and south of Middle-earth, places the books conveniently gloss over. Why? Because Tolkien wrote from a Western perspective. He never tells us what life was like in Sauron's lands. What if they weren't all dark and lifeless? What if, and hear me out, the people of Rhûn and Harad followed Sauron not out of fear, but out of belief? Sauron offered technology, military organization, infrastructure, and a unifying ideology in a fractured world. He didn't tolerate corruption or chaos within his ranks, and he made sure everyone had a place in his system. Sure, it was rigid. Yes, it was absolute. But for many, especially in unstable regions, order is a blessing. Let's talk about the Rings of Power. Sauron didn't force the elves to forge them. He taught them, guided them, collaborated with them. Only later did he forge the One Ring to control the others. But why? Because the elves were deceiving him. They wanted power without consequence. Sauron's ring was not a tool of destruction. It was a regulatory mechanism, a way to prevent the others from abusing their gifts. It's like building a powerful AI and making sure it has an off switch. Would you call the off switch evil? Men feared death. That's their flaw. They saw Sauron as a savior, someone who promised them escape from the unknown. And Sauron offered it. Long life, protection, purpose. Yes, the Nazgûl became wraiths, but not because Sauron betrayed them. They chose immortality. They chose power. The corruption came from within. If anything, the ring amplified what was already there. So why blame the ring? Why blame the one who merely showed people who they truly were? Let's face it, history is written by the victors. The Elves and Men won. They destroyed the ring, and they called it a victory for freedom. But how many lives were lost? How many realms collapsed? And what did they do with their so-called freedom afterward? Even after Sauron's defeat, men fell into the same cycle: pride, war, decay. The Age of Men wasn't an age of enlightenment. It was just a new chapter of the same old story. Maybe, just maybe, Sauron wasn't the villain. Maybe he was the scapegoat. Sauron's story is more than a fantasy. It's a reflection. How many leaders throughout history were vilified for challenging the status quo? How many movements were crushed because they threatened the comfortable balance of power? We love our freedom, but hate its consequences. We love peace, but mock those who impose it. We love order until it restricts us. Sauron is the embodiment of that paradox. He's not just a villain, he's a question. And the question is, do we fear him because he was evil, or because he was effective? In the end, this isn't about justifying everything Sauron did. It's about looking at the bigger picture, the uncomfortable truths, the motives that don't fit neatly into good or evil. Sauron sought order in a world built on chaos. He offered strength where there was weakness. He built something when others only tore things down. So maybe the real question isn't whether Sauron was right. Maybe the question is, why are we so sure he was wrong? Don't forget to like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe for more deep dives into misunderstood villains. This was The Dark Truth, and we'll see you next time.